how to not take things personally. It's really hard because you're a person. Hey there, I'm Dr. Jane, joined by Coach Kendra.
Hello, everybody. Great to see you here.
And this is your personal reset button. We are helping you today figure out how to depersonalize things that happen to you, with you, for you, about you, around you, because so many people are living in their lives and they're being impacted negatively because they're really translating these happenings through a lens of hurt, shame, or something like that that takes them down, right, Kendra?
Yeah. And as Dr. Jane was just saying, everybody goes through this. We all have had times where we've taken something personally, whether you went to go speak to somebody and it looked like they were ignoring you because they were on their phone and you took it personally, or whatever the case may be. And one of the big realizations of one of the ways to not take it personally is try to understand that it's not always about me. So that's what I do. It's not always about me. So you have a great thing that you were saying the other day, Dr. Jane, about taking a look at the other person's, or a lot of times people say, get into the other person's shoes or take a helicopter look at the situation.
Yeah.
And can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So in order to really identify with what's going on, you have to understand every single thing that people put out there is truth from somebody's perspective. And so usually when we're taking things personally, it's because we're reacting. We see it, we react. It's sight, judgment, reaction, bang, 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 just that fast, even faster than I can spout the words out. And we shut down and label it, and we put it into a category, and then it hurts, angers, causes some sort of negativity. So if you can identify with, for example, I recently posted something personally on my Facebook, and it was, I thought it was funny. It offended two specific people who I deeply love, my aunts, and they really came down hard on me. I got personal messages from them. They were very loud in the comments on this post, and then they even posted on their own pages to get their friends to ask me to take this thing down. It was just like a funny little meme or something, but it just really offended them, and that's not my heart. And actually, one of my friends came back and said, "Oh, come on! If you know Jane, you know that her heart isn't to offend; it was to add light." So, but it really offended them. And the reason that it touched me is because I love these people. These are people who I love, and they were acting out of love to me, to implore me to live within their boundaries. I didn't take the thing down, and it might be the stubborn journalist in me that's freedom of the press. I didn't take it down, but I did send out love and said, I absolutely respect your opinion. This was in no means intended to offend. I love you. I appreciate your opinion and your devotion in this area, and absolutely respect your personal ability and mission to speak out about it. Thank you. But I could have taken it in a much different way and said, well, how dare they disrespect me in this way and message me and cross my boundaries and post these things. And they were tagging my friends who were making comments oh, this is so funny. They're like, it certainly is not funny. Every single time somebody would make a comment, they were coming back. And finally I was just I actually thought about taking it down just to stop the cycle, but I was no, freedom of the press. I'm going to leave it up there. I think it's funny, but there were two ways to go with that. It was either being super pissed and screw you, don't, or it's, okay, let me understand. These are these are people who are very devout in their beliefs, as am I, but they choose to take a more, offensive, not offensive like you've offended me, but offensive, like sports, offensive type of a stance in speaking out about things. I don't take a defensive stance. I take a neutral stance of love. I love you. How can I love this person in the place where they are? And so, the thing that you said just a minute ago about when people are looking at their phones instead of looking up at you, I was having a really important, deep conversation with my husband last night about our special needs child and my experiences throughout the last 10-hour period when he was away from our home. And I was not. And he was playing a video game on his iPad, and he loves this video game. And it's kind of a joke. It's sometimes he's just decompressing and sitting there playing this like 1980s war video game. He loves it. It's very like bitmap looking, but anyway, so he was just looking down at it, and I know he was listening, but in that moment, my energy really needed the eye-to-eye energy connection, because my husband is my very best friend, and I needed that extra. And so I took a breath, and he's just still sitting here tapping this thing. He loves this game. It's called the mother of all battles.
Oh, wow.
And I always joke and say it in this big voice, the mother of all battles. But anyway, so he loves it. I love video games too, but anyway, I don't play that one. But I just paused and I said, can you repeat for me the last thing that I said? Because I wasn't feeling that connection.
Right.
And he said, oh, I am listening. And I said, when we talk about this topic, can I have this instead of this? Because this is difficult for me.
Yeah.
And I was understanding where he was. He's been working all day. He had a long day. He has his own stressors. So instead of just being like, put that damn thing down and pay attention to me.
Right.
It's taking that. And I don't know, Kendra, how long do you think for me, because I'm in the practice of it, it takes me about 3 seconds to go from put that damn thing down to, can I have some eye contact right now? Because it would be important to me. But I mean, like other people, it might take 10 deep breaths or 100.
Well, that was point number 2 that I was going to say. You hit the nail on the head there. It is if you feel, if you feel like you're taking it personally, then be vulnerable and communicate to the person or whatever it is, just like what you did. You went to your husband and you said to him, hey, do you think we could do it this way? Instead of, because what happens to a lot of people is they take it personally, then they go the other way, then we go sulk, and then we feel guilty about it. So it's a whole cycle of first you take it personally, then you go off and feel bad about it, and then you feel guilty about it that you felt that way. And but what you do
something little like that might not seem like it's a relationship destroyer, but it is, because a bunch of little ones of those, and then all of a sudden that's what creates he never listens to me, he cares about his iPad more than she doesn't care about me, she doesn't respect me. And so when you don't deal with all that, just think about it like tiny grains of sand. What do you get with 8 billion of them?
Right.
A beach.
Yeah. It adds up. It adds up.
Yeah.
The other point that I would like to make about this as well is sometimes when we're receiving criticism from somebody, and criticism isn't always a bad thing. I mean, we need to have some criticism from people just to know where we're at on track. But if you're feeling really hurt, or if it's a really big sting, or if it's really hurtful to you, then it probably means that you have some sort of trauma wrapped around whatever it is that they're talking about that has not been addressed. It has not healed. And so we actually work with that here at GILD Coaching, and we have a program that's fantastic, Recovery Focus Reset, that deals with past trauma and addiction. And I've got a few clients that are working with it now, and it's just wonderful. They love it, and they're being able to work on those things so that when you do get criticism, you can use it as a tool for yourself to move forward in your life, instead of cowering down and saying, oh my God, they criticize me and it's hurtful. Use it as a tool to move forward in your life. So
absolutely,
to make that point as well.
And the link for Recovery Focus reset is in the video description here. And just so you guys know, just a little shameless plug, you get this beautiful lady and me. You have 2 personal coaches through your program. And so we dig down in there, figure out where all of your actions are coming from and what subconscious reprogramming needs to be done. So it's really powerful.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
But what you just said, Kendra, really leads me to, I think, what we were wanting to discuss next, which is how are you interacting mentally, not how are you interacting in an outward way, but mentally, how are you interacting, and how that mindset, that little mindset shift with your mode of interaction can really change how you feel.
And change your entire life, all of your relationships. I mean, really, it changes how you interact with people that are in your family, friends, people that you're working with. It changes everything. It changes how you feel about yourself, because now you're taking control, or you have a better way to manage that, and you feel better about yourself. You don't feel your self-worth is, I mean, is sky high at that point. And so it's a really cool thing to be able to maximize on, is how to not take things personally.
Absolutely. And I think that my biggest something that I instruct our clients in doing that I think really lands with them and makes sense in a practical application sort of a way is, when things are happening, you have a choice. All of us have a choice. We can be a participant in that, or we can be an observer. And the observer, the cool thing about being the observer is the observer is in the most control. Because the observer gets to say what they will and will not accept from the participants. And so, you know, ask yourself, if you are feeling offended, if you are taking things personally, take a breath, back up and say, okay, am I participating in this? Or am I observing it? You know, I see this a whole lot with people who had a discussion with a dear friend of mine after a recent presidential election back in 16, and she just kind of disappeared for a while. And she said that she was so offended by what everybody was posting on their feeds and saying to each other that she just wanted to take a break from the world. And that's fine. That's how she chose to self-regulate. That's how she chose to set her boundaries up at that point to protect herself. But when she came out of that period, she and her wife live in the area where we are. We had them over for a game night. Apparently we like games a lot. But we had them over to play Catan, which is completely fun. And it takes hours and hours, and it's so fun. But we had them over, and, you know, I asked her, you know, where have you been, girl? Like, I love you. Where have you been?
Yeah.
She said she's another race than I am. And she said, I really disconnected from all of my white friends because I was so hurt by this election. And that was so interesting to me, because she was so participatory in the energy of everything that was going on, even during her self-quarantine from this certain sect of friends that she had. But she carried out all of this animosity and anger. And we actually really sat down and had a conversation about it. Cause I said, you know, what have I done? I don't know. I just couldn't be around white people at that point. Cause I was so angered by what I saw from that race of people. I needed to remove myself. She was so participatory in all that. She validated everything that had offended her by continuing to allow it to rent space in her head. So had she instead chosen to be an observer and look at it, I mean, consider yourself, if you're in a sports stadium watching a soccer game, European football, you know, whatever, you're not participating in the game, you're an observer of it. But then when something happens down on the field and you're like, no, don't pass it to him, then you're participating. But at all other times, you're choosing to observe. If you'll take that kind of a stand, Instead, you will save yourself so much wasted emotional energy.
Yeah, absolutely. And that can drag people down like
Oh,
for weeks, months, even
years.
years. I've seen it in families where something like that has really dragged the whole family down for years, and people aren't communicating anymore. So it's it happens to everybody. Sometimes we do take, or at least the feeling comes up a lot with people, but you have the tools that we spoke about today to be able to conquer that and to be able to move on and feel it, but do, take the tips that we gave you today and be able to move on in your life, and have much better, happier life with better relationships and
better energy, better
yeah,
manifestation, better everything.
yes, better
And that's
everything.
what we are here for you. This is your personal
Yes.
reset button. And if this has been of any use to you, please give us a thumbs up. Tell us that you like it, that you want more. If you have questions, please ask those in the comments. We will answer every single one personally. And
Absolutely.
make sure that you subscribe and click the little bell so that you'll get a notification the next time that we drop a video to make you live a life, to help you live, not make you, help you live a life, more happiness, more success, and lower stress. Till next time.
Next time. Take care. Bye-bye.